But the interesting thing, every day that I went home, so I'd turn on the TV and I'd look at the news to see if they're going to announce we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And of course, here it is 30-some years later, and we still haven't heard about it. And I remember thinking every single evening as the screen flickered that maybe tonight would be the night, and yet the silence persisted, and whoa, it was just like they were going to give you a little bit. But they were also going to sprinkle in some falsities and feed a mixture of truth and deception. And it both conditions the populace, but also stigmatizes the thing and makes it seem like kind of a joke, like something out of a movie instead of the extraordinary reality it could actually be. And NASA's live moon feed suddenly captured something strange, and it wasn't the usual grainy blur that skeptics could easily dismiss, but a crisp, clear anomaly that lingered on the screen, and within hours. Michio Kaku gave a warning that has everyone talking and watching and speculating and asking themselves what is really going on up there, because what appeared on the monitors wasn't just a blip or a shadow or a cosmic ray strike like so many times before. It was an anomaly that defied immediate explanation, the kind of thing that makes scientists lean forward in their chairs and double-check every setting. And the feed showed unusual light patterns near the lunar South Pole, right where NASA plans to send the next human mission, and the astronauts see something down on the lunar surface and whisper to each other there's a strange light down there. And this wasn't just another glitch because it touched on mysteries we've seen before, but never this clear. So clear that it sent a shiver up my spine because for decades NASA has documented over 1,400 unexplained light phenomena on the lunar surface, but this time the pattern lasted longer than typical cosmic ray strikes and longer than the flickers that normally pop up and disappear. And the timing couldn't be more critical just as we prepare to establish the first permanent human presence on the moon, a historic step that suddenly feels a little less certain. And when I first saw this feed, I thought, okay, just another lens flare, nothing to worry about. But then I remembered something. The moon has shocked scientists before, and this was different. It was different in the way that matters. And so let's break down why Kaku's warning hit so hard and why the space community is buzzing. And remember when Apollo seismic experiments made the moon ring like a bell for nearly an hour. Apollo 12 Houston, the limb is on its way out. Roger. And what was amazing about this is that suddenly the moon began to ring like a bell and did so for nearly an hour, and NASA's own data showed vibrations that shouldn't have lasted that long. And you ask yourself, what if this visual anomaly connects to something deeper, something about the moon's structure we still don't fully understand? The new terrifying possibility no one wants to say out loud. And what most people don't know is that NASA now employs sophisticated AI systems to monitor lunar data streams 24/7, neural networks that scan millions of frames per day, detecting patterns human eyes might miss completely. Unlike humans who tire or blink, these systems never stop watching. They flag anomalies based on hundreds of parameters, brightness shifts, geometric irregularities, and motion patterns that break expected norms. And the system that monitors the moon feed isn't just looking for pretty pictures, it's hunting for outliers, hunting for the rare and unexplained, and sometimes the unsettling. And sources inside NASA have confirmed these AI detection systems have grown increasingly sensitive. They can distinguish between cosmic ray strikes, camera artifacts, and genuine surface phenomena with remarkable accuracy. And when something triggers multiple detection algorithms simultaneously, that's when scientists take notice, and that's exactly what happened with this event. The AI flagged it before any human operator noticed anything unusual, and the machine classified it as a Category 3 anomaly, something that defies standard explanation and protocols. Think about that for a moment. What happens when a machine sees something we don't, and a physicist like Kaku says it's time to be careful? We're entering uncharted territory where artificial intelligence may become our first line of defense against cosmic surprises. And remember again the Apollo mission seismic experiments. When they intentionally crashed equipment into the lunar surface, the moon vibrated for nearly an hour, far longer than Earth would under similar impact. NASA described it as ringing like a bell. And what if these visual anomalies connect to internal lunar activity our instruments are only beginning to detect? The AI's alert pattern matches something else too. The timing, and location of several transient lunar phenomena recorded by both American and Soviet missions during the Cold War. These were classified for decades. Some of these events occurred right where NASA plans to build the first permanent lunar base. And because what comes next isn't about cameras, it's about the moon itself, sending warnings we might not survive. The moon is alive in a way we didn't expect. The moon isn't the silent, dead world we once thought. Recent seismic data from India's Chandrayaan-3 mission revealed something astonishing. The lunar surface is constantly trembling. Their seismometer detected roughly 250 seismic events in just 11 days of operation, and while many were linked to mission activities, about 50 signals had no clear explanation. But this isn't new. NASA knew something was strange back in the Apollo era. When Apollo 12's ascent stage was deliberately crashed into the lunar surface, something unexpected happened. The impact triggered vibrations that continued for nearly an hour. Apollo's seismometers recorded the moon literally ringing like a bell. A 2024 NASA study confirmed something even more concerning. Moonquakes near the South Pole are stronger than previously thought, and this exact region is where NASA plans to build the first permanent human settlement through the Artemis program. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has photographed thousands of fault scarps, cliff-like features that form as the moon's interior cools and contracts. These aren't ancient features, they're active. They're breaking the crust right now, creating unexpected shallow quakes exactly where we plan to build. Imagine building the first moon colony only for the ground to lurch beneath you, shaking for nearly an hour. Without Earth's atmosphere and oceans to dampen these vibrations, lunar quakes propagate differently, lasting longer and traveling farther than anything we experience on Earth. And that's not all. The moon's gravity field is bizarrely irregular. NASA's Grail mission mapped these mascons. Massive concentrations of density beneath the surface that actually distort spacecraft orbits. These gravity anomalies don't match what we'd expect from a simple dead rock. Most people think of the moon as dead rock, but the truth, it moves, it groans, and sometimes it rings like a bell. That's not poetry, it's in NASA's own seismic data. And when you look at the timing of this recent anomaly on NASA's feed, it correlates with increased seismic activity detected by multiple space agencies. The visual disturbance appeared precisely when instruments were recording unexplained tremors below the surface. Is it possible the moon is trying to tell us something? That its internal structure is shifting in ways our models didn't predict? Because if we're wrong about something this fundamental, what else might we be missing? And if you want us to keep uncovering these hidden warnings, make sure you subscribe right now. We bring you discoveries that others ignore. Hit that button and join the millions who refuse to accept the sanitized version of space exploration. But even if quakes shake the surface, what lies under the moon might be far stranger. The hollow spaces we've discovered beneath the lunar crust could change everything we thought we knew. Underground mysteries beneath the moon's cratered surface lies a network of enormous caverns that could rewrite our understanding of lunar exploration. NASA's Grail mission revealed something extraordinary: massive hollow spaces, stretching for miles beneath the lunar crust. These aren't theoretical structures, orbital imaging has confirmed their existence. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has photographed several skylight holes, where cave ceilings have collapsed, revealing glimpses into these subterranean worlds. Some of these lava tubes are massive, large enough to house entire cities. The largest discovered so far could fit the entire island of Manhattan inside it. These aren't small caves, they're potential habitats for future lunar colonies, offering natural radiation shielding and temperature stability. But here's where things get interesting. When sudden anomalies appear on lunar feeds, they often correlate with regions where these subsurface networks are most extensive. Could we be witnessing real-time collapses occurring deep below the surface? During the Apollo missions, astronauts reported unusual acoustic properties when conducting seismic experiments. The moon didn't just ring, it resonated in ways that suggested hollow spaces were amplifying the vibrations. NASA's own data showed seismic waves bouncing differently than expected through the lunar interior. The visual anomaly captured recently appeared precisely in a region where Grail gravity mapping showed an extensive network of these voids. What's concerning is how these subsurface structures intersect with fault lines near the South Pole, exactly where NASA plans to build permanent habitats. When you overlay the most recent moonquake data with the map of confirmed lava tubes, the pattern becomes disturbing. The strongest tremors concentrate along the edges of these subterranean networks. It's as if the moon's interior is gradually giving way. Japan's Selene orbiter detected one tube stretching over 30 miles in length beneath the Marius Hills region. Its dimensions exceed anything found on Earth. If a section of such a massive void were to collapse, the surface effects could be catastrophic, potentially visible even from Earth-based telescopes. If these voids are bigger than NASA admits, then Kaku's warning makes sense, because the next collapse could happen right beneath an Artemis landing site. The hollow spaces amplifying lunar tremors aren't just scientific curiosities, they're potential death traps for future astronauts. Think about it. What happens when you build a habitat on what seems like solid ground only to have it drop into a newly formed sinkhole? On Earth, we have warning signs. On the Moon, the first sign might be the moment the ground gives way. The invisible killers. While underground voids might collapse beneath our feet, an even deadlier threat silently bombards the lunar surface every day. The Moon stands completely defenseless against cosmic radiation. Unlike Earth, it has no magnetic field to deflect incoming particles, no atmosphere to absorb them. When solar storms erupt, they hurl billions of tons of charged particles toward the Moon at nearly the speed of light. These particle storms strike the lunar surface with full, unfiltered fury. The radiation dosage during a major solar event can spike to lethal levels within minutes. NASA's own radiation detectors have recorded levels that would kill an unprotected human in hours. What's terrifying is how these events often manifest visually in camera feeds. High-energy particles striking camera sensors create bright flashes, strange artifacts, and unexplained interference patterns. The anomaly that appeared on NASA's live feed matches precisely what radiation physicists call a shower event. When multiple high-energy particles strike simultaneously, these radiation bursts create distinctive visual signatures that AI systems are specifically trained to identify. When the lunar surface is hit by these storms, the regolith itself becomes electrically charged. This charging creates luminous effects visible only in certain wavelengths, brief glows that cameras can detect. Standard cameras might capture only fragments of these events. Recent data from lunar orbiters confirms these radiation events are increasing in both frequency and intensity. The current solar cycle is proving more active than predicted, with major flares occurring 37% more often than during the previous cycle. What's particularly concerning is how these radiation bursts interact with the Moon's subsurface ice deposits, especially near the South Pole. When high-energy particles penetrate ice, they create secondary radiation effects that can persist for hours after the initial event. You wouldn't see it, you wouldn't hear it, but in a second it fries electronics and human DNA. If you saw that flash on NASA's feed, maybe you were watching a solar storm hit the Moon in real time. The scariest part, astronauts would have almost no warning. By the time the radiation reaches the Moon, it's already too late to take shelter. The same burst that created those strange visual artifacts would deliver a lethal dose through a standard spacesuit. When physicists like Kaku express concern about lunar anomalies, they're not just worried about pretty lights, they're worried about invisible killers that could end a lunar mission before it begins. Every unexplained flash might represent a danger we're only beginning to understand. But there's another layer, and it takes us beyond geology or radiation. It takes us into geopolitics, because the race to control the Moon isn't just scientific, it's becoming a matter of national security. The hidden race for control. While scientists debate natural explanations, a more concerning possibility emerges. We're not alone in our lunar ambitions anymore. The Moon has become the focal point of a new space race, one with far higher stakes than the Apollo era. NASA's Artemis program aims to establish a permanent presence near the lunar South Pole by 2026, but China's Chang'e missions have already claimed historic firsts: the first far-side landing and the first sample return in decades. Both nations are targeting the same resource-rich regions. This isn't coincidence. The lunar South Pole contains precious water ice and permanently shadowed craters, billions of gallons of it. Whoever controls this resource controls the future of deep space exploration. Water means fuel, oxygen, and survival. What makes the recent feed anomaly particularly troubling is its location. It appeared in a strategically vital region exactly where both American and Chinese missions plan to land. The timing aligns with increased satellite activity from multiple nations around lunar orbit. Michio Kaku has repeatedly warned about the militarization of space. In his public statements, he's expressed concern about the lack of clear international agreements governing lunar activities. The moon exists in a legal gray area where the lines between scientific research and strategic positioning blur. Space-based reconnaissance has transformed dramatically. Modern imaging satellites can detect objects the size of a dinner plate from lunar orbit. What we briefly glimpsed on NASA's feed could potentially be evidence of activity no one has publicly acknowledged. When unexpected objects appear in these contested regions, the question isn't just scientific, it's strategic. What if what we saw wasn't natural but man-made? An unauthorized satellite or probe positioned without public disclosure? A signal of how the new space race is already unfolding above our heads.